Shalom. First of all, I'd like to start by giving all praises and glory due to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem Kwakadash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and salutations to the Arkim doing his work in sincerity and in truth. My name's Amarth Kwam. This video is going to be entitled The Devil's Devices, Victim Complex. Alright, the victim complex is one of the oldest tricks in the book that these Edomites or these elites use to effectively make or control the narrative that Edomites are the victims of what's going around them, whether it's regarding war or whether it's regarding issues in society, that they need protection or extra protection or extra for lack of a better word, extra concern when it comes to these Edomites, okay? Because they're apparently the most sought after, or vulnerable as a nation of people, or people are always against them. Anyway, Esau controls this narrative and uses this device that Jake is, or you Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans are a problem in society, and obviously any issues between Jake and Esau only has to play the victim, and he gets a blue tick, so to speak, or off of any issues by playing the victim. And that's where you get these, and it's a common known fact, and these devils, they use it where it suits them. That's why you get these Karens and these various different incidents between, normal, even like working class citizens that are Jakes, or even Jakes that are a bit higher up in a more professional background, who evidently have not had any criminal history or just a good upstanding citizen, against Jake has been a victim in an altercation or an issue against an Edomite, usually, Edomite women. And these videos always go viral, where Edomites are saying there's a dangerous black man, or there's a guy that's, trying to rape me, or there's a guy that put drugs on me, or there's this guy that, he's suspicious. When a lot of the times you find that, you had these recent videos that went viral where a guy was just bird watching, told a woman to put her dog on a leash, or guys that have simply moved to a predominantly white neighborhood, just trying to go into his own property and being interrogated by other people who live there, acting as if, he's a threat in some sort of way or manner, man. And these are the everyday woes that Jake face by this devil that uses the victim complex card when it suits him. And in the past history, when Esau was more in his power, Edomite women and amongst the Edomite men would make up a story if they had an issue or just felt angry for any reason. They would lie upon a Jake to say that he raped or touched or offended an Edomite woman or whatever it be, and then the consensus would be that they would go and torture and murder that person or people. But now you're seeing where there's video recording, even in the face of evidence, it's proven that these devils are who they are, man. All right? They still deny that they are the criminal that they are, man. All right? And they pretend to be victims in all cases, or play down their role in or responsibility in any incident. So as you now see it on the screen, this is faultcode.com. It says understanding the victim complex. All right, and you got a guy who's circling a drain. It says in clinical psychology, a victim complex or victim mentality describes a personality trait of persons who believe they are constantly the victims of the harmful actions of others. And that's why you got a lot of military in all different places in the earth. You know, anytime you have these world wars or different wars, America or NATO or the Western countries always pretend that it's important for them to go abroad to protect people or protect their the country, when really it's just a justification to persuade the minds of the public so that they can go and achieve their agenda, whether it be for financial gain or to maintain business in other countries when other countries want them to leave. You know, they just concoct lies to persuade the minds of the public so they can go to deal with their endeavors or their interests. All right, which is just a lie. It's a fork. The devil speaks with a forked tongue. All right, saying one thing but meaning another. And it's a powerful tool that this devil's been using for a very long time. It says, who believes they are constantly the victims of the harmful actions of others. You see, so now you got in the UK, you got a lot of this recent years, for the longest, you've had the issues regarding Jake killing Jake. All right. And, you know, it's always being used on the news to throw in the faces of, Jake as a whole. Look, your people are the most, problematic people, violent, committing crimes everywhere. You know, you need to be policed or treated different. But then they don't account for the causes of why these things are happening. All right? Which many different reasons you got. You know, ultimately Esau puts a lot of Jakes in poorer towns and cities. All right? Opportunities are very far and few between. And Esau, obviously, systematic racism, where they will, prevent Jake from aspiring to his capability, as he might have the better education and the better wisdom, whatever his job be, but they'll give it to an Edomite over him. So ultimately, man, it just shows you that, Esau is the damn devil, but he uses these different devices to as a deception to maintain the narrative of being a victim. Salakia. So let's go down. Or it even says, who believes they are constantly the victims of harmful actions of others, even when made aware of evidence to the contrary. Yeah, because there's a lot of more videos going around. You know, people, when you hear about these different altercations between Jake and these Edomites, Jake always gets the short stick, and they believe that, Jake's always to blame. Until that evidence. So basically, Esau's always given the reasonable doubt before Jake, until they see the evidence of the provocateur, which would be these Edomites, these Karens in many cases. So here is another part. It says, common traits of victim complex. It says, sufferers. They never, I'm only going to read a few, they never accept any decree of blame for their problems. Right. So the issues that are being society mostly are caused by the conditions, deplorable conditions, and the negligence by society as a whole. And Esau don't take responsibility for any of those problems. Right. It's always Jake's fault. They carry grudges, never forgive, and simply cannot move on. All right. So at any time, Esau's manipulative when it comes to that victim complex. So something might have happened 10, 20, 30 years ago, and Esau will bring it up to justify a complete slaughter or a war or whatever it be. Just like a 9/11, they got weapons of mass destruction, and they found no weapons of mass destruction, but they, completely plundered and destroyed a whole city and a whole country or a nation of people. All right, people were completely displaced from their own nationality, if you will. All right, their heritage. So, but when it comes to Jake, they don't grant that. They don't grant Jake being victims. All right, they just say, shut up, deal with it. The race card. Showing you that this guy is the devil. So Esau carries grudges, but Jake is not allowed to carry a grudge. I'm just reading through it real quick. They are often highly critical of others. All right, and that's these Edomites down to a T. A lot of these videos that they put out there with concerns to how they feel about Jakes and are complaining, as they would describe it. They're very critical, but then when you listen to what's actually being said, a lot of it's just racial bias. They don't consider any of the facts or anything involved. They just simply, when you go on YouTube, you can find a lot of videos with just Edomites just spewing guile, basically. There's no any specific one I'm going to mention, but, it's commonly known that these Edomites are very critical and, pick on people, so to speak, because of their nationality, and mainly upon Jake's. But then this, when it applies, you apply the same criticism to their people. They play a victim. So anyway, let's go from here to the scriptures. A couple of precepts I wanted to bring out. So this is 2 Corinthians 2:11. It says, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. Yeah, man, and Jake, the whole world's waking up to the devices of this devil, and one of those devices is playing a victim when he is the adversary. So let's go from here to Psalms 58 and 3. The wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they are born, speaking lies. Yeah, so it's bred within Edomites, all right? From birth, it's their nature to speak lies. They can't help themselves to advance in any particular aspect of society by telling the truth. They can't help themselves. They have to tell lies. It's their very nature. You know, and it's just more coming out now because everyone's got cameras. John 8. And 44. Ye are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth. Right, so, you know, the spiritual father of you Edomites is the spiritual demon Satan, man. All right. So when it comes to Salakio, got distracted. So these the forefathers of these Edomites, they were murderers. They was in terms of war, they stole and raped and plundered different countries. All right, they would do wicked things. And the same goes for the people that descend from them. They too are those same people, or of the same stock of those people, which have that same nature. Had we been in past times, these same people that are advocating or against these different protests or so-called Black Lives Matter protests, when you really see what they do when they go to these protests, you can see that they're really just racist. You know, they can't help but that rust when you have iron, all right, and the rust, you can shine it for a little while, but then when that eventually that rust will show through, and that's what shows through with these devils, man. All right, because at those protests you had racist chants, you know, we prefer racism and all that, different songs they were singing, because Esau can't help himself, man. All right, they like to profess like their statues and their history is you know, they're victims of a protest, but the reality is, even the history of those statues and of their people comes from a place of evil, and those people that come from them, they have the lust of their father, man. He was a murderer from the beginning, and they lust to kill Jake, in other words, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. And you can't expect these devils to solve any of Jake's problems, all right? Because till the end, no matter what happens to Jake out there, Esau is going to continue to tell the lies, to dismiss the issues that Jake's have. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own. He is a liar and a father of it. So from here, let's go to Zechariah 11:5. Whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty, and that they that sell them say, Blessed be the Lord, for I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not. You see, so what Esau does is says, look, I'm not responsible. When you go back to the victim thing, Esau says, look, I do not accept any decree of blame for the problems that's happening in our society. It's because of other people. It's outward. You know, it's Jake's. We're not responsible for the problems you Jakes are having, man. Oh, that was our ancestors. That was our forefathers. We didn't put you in slavery. You see? And they say, look, you know, your own leaders, they ain't helping you. That's not our problem. But the reason why we're in that deplorable condition is because of the systematic racism and the different laws and the different the narrative and everything that Esau uses, these different devices to make Jake look like we are the problem. All right? And he's the victim. But ultimately, that's going to be turned on its head, man. Because the truth, we're in a time of truth and a revealing of truth, and everyone's waking up to the actions of these devils, man. And part and parcel of that is these Karen videos showing you how much these people are lying, even in the face of evidence. Now this is Revelations 2:9. It says, I know thy works in tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich, and I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, all right, but are the synagogue of Satan. So you actually have a nation of people, or a tribe of people calling themselves Jewish today, which in actual fact stole our identity, our heritage, our history, and placed it upon themselves and stole our land, all right? But you Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, all right, let's say so anyway, the actual land of Israel belongs to you, all right? Now you had the southern kingdom, which was made up of Benjamin, Judah, and Levi, all right, which would have been the darker tribes, all right? You would have been known as the house of, or the Jews, the true Jews. But here it is, our adversary, the devil, the synagogue of Satan, these so-called Jewish people, they've got the chief of compassion and the chief of everyone's ears listening to what their problems are and their lamentation or their concerns, all right, in the whole earth, man. All right, they use that device like there's no tomorrow. All right, the idea that these Amalek, well, biblically they're known as Amalekites, these people calling themselves Jewish today, they want the world to believe that their despair and sufferings, or the things that are going on in the world, are in their lives, are far worse than what's happening to you Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans. They're out there getting compensation. I forgot the other word for it. All right, but they're receiving money as a consolation for the things that they've gone through as a nation of people. But as of Jakes, where are these Amalekites standing at these protests with Jakes? In fact, these Amalekites are the ones funding these protests, all right, because there's an agenda behind it, and it's always secret and dark. But the point is, out of all the Edomites, it's ultimately these Amalekites which are using this device of the victim mentality chiefly. But at the end of the day, all these things are going to come to a stop, because Yahweh Shai, all right, this truth is being pushed out there through the four corners of the earth, man. And Esau's unable to hide anymore from his true identity, no matter what he tries to say or manipulate or do or control the media. There's more and more evidence stacking up against this devil to prove or evidence against him, man. And the main evidence against this devil is this word, man, proving him to be the devil that he is. So anyway, with that, I hope you brothers were edified. Until the next video, I'm going to say shalom.